Good morning. All right. Well, it's Monday morning. I'm so happy to see so many of you here today. Thank you so much for joining me. I realize that maybe Mondays aren't always the easiest of days for everyone to join in, but it's summer and maybe there's a few more opportunities for joining in on a Monday. Um, I don't know about you, but what I need to do this morning is breathe and clear my energy field. So let's do that together and then we'll get started. So if you want to join me, you may not be in a place where you can, and that's fine. And if you're listening to the recording, doing something else, do what feels right for you. I'm going to I'm going to close my eyes and you're welcome to do so as well. Lower your energy, awareness down into I like to go down into my womb space, my root. I'm going to guide us to bring our awareness and energy down our legs and into our feet. So, yeah, we're just going to ground and center and clear because that's what I need. So it's a little selfish, I realize, but that's what we're doing. So when and if you're ready, just maybe shake your body a little bit, kind of shake off anything that I know it's early on Monday, but maybe there's things that are kind of there for you this week I wouldn't be surprised. And bring your awareness down to your womb space, your lower abdomen, your root, and just take a moment. Just take a normal breath. And again, if you want to close your eyes to bring your awareness inwards, you can. Feel your hips. And if you'd like to, just bring your awareness down your thighs, your knees, your calves, your shins, your ankles, your feet. And just tune into the soles of your feet. How do they feel right now? What are you noticing? Very physical. Staying in the body is a good thing. And as we deepen into our centering and our clearing this morning, if you want to send some roots down from the soles of your feet into the earth, you can. Reaching down, feeling the support of Mother Earth. And all of you are very sensitive beings. So again, remember the earth. She has a tremendous amount of resilience and strength. And yes, does she love it when we come and visit? Absolutely. So if there's any acknowledgement you want to do for the earth, this is a great time to do that. And just feeling that energy connection between you and the earth, and really dropping that awareness all the way down through your body. And there's probably, many things to think about right now, but let's just, again, bringing the awareness all the way down the body and down into the earth, feeling the support of Mother Earth. And from this place, we're going to take 4 breaths. And if you're joining me in this, the breaths are deep into the belly and exhaling through the mouth. So, and again, do what is right for you. This is an invitation. So breathing in up through the soles of your feet, expanding your belly, and exhaling when you're ready. And breathing in up through the soles of your feet, expanding your belly, expanding it a little more. And exhaling when you're ready. And breathing in up through the soles of your feet. Expanding your belly. And exhaling when you're ready. Very good. Feeling your shoulders relax, jaw relax. Breathing in up through the soles of the feet, expanding your belly. On the exhale, relaxing the jaw, the shoulders, and the hips. Excellent. Okay, when you're ready, you can come back. I don't know about you, but I quite enjoy that and could probably do that for an hour. But this is our time to kind of dive in a little bit to what is happening for us this week. And I'm going to start with the tarot cards, and I'm also going to use an herbal astrology oracle. That's this deck right here this morning. And I think I'm going to actually start with that one. I really appreciate Adriana Ayales. I hope I said that right. And artwork by Josefina Clerks. Hopefully I said that right too. These cards, oh my gosh, these are beautiful cards, and they're very powerful. I mean, they've been on Cosmic Compass before. I pull them out when I feel like we need some big messages and some big grounding. But what I like about them is the herbs, flowers, plants, they all have their own messages. And so having an opportunity to really dive into the messages is great. So, well, we're going to do a little balancing, and then we'll get into the astrology for the week. All right. So first card for our anchor card today is going to, okay, well, all right, well, I was looking for it to be a little more relaxed, but apparently not. Okay, here we go, people. Remember, you can tune out now if you want to. It's okay. I really believe that everything is for the best. And just when you see this card, just know, it's not necessarily literal. And as your resident 8th house person, this is not a bad thing. But yeah. So hilarious. All right. So the first card is Angel's Trumpet. The key word for this is death. So, but let's just focus on the pretty flowers, the little treasure chest with crystals and feathers. I'm gonna look in the book. I wait, but I'm like, we should probably check this one out and see what the message is here. My guess is that it's a Pluto card, death. It's a Pluto card. So we're going to check it out. And then that will actually help me look. And actually, talking about Pluto would actually not be a bad idea. So we'll use this card as guidance, because that's what I asked for. So I am actually going to look it up right now. And, death. What is death? Death is letting go. It is shedding. It is shifting. It is changing. Doesn't have to be literal, as I said. It can be important for us to let go, release. So, all right. So her thoughts on this are shedding the old, rising from the ashes, eliminating, and of the astrological ruler, big surprise, Pluto, but also Mars. So we can talk about that as well. And angel trumpets are have a very rich history, according to her, of use among shamans and magic practitioners, even though they are poisonous. And so she goes on to talk about some of the rituals that they're used for, and how when they're utilized, because they're in the poisonous family, they're careful, obviously, but that they do lead to some unusual experiences, including visitations by jaguars and anacondas. So two very big animal symbols for those of you that are, looking at animal symbols. And the astral traveling aspect of Angel's Trumpet is also well known here. But she's very clear that only trained shamans should ever use this herb. I'm personally not going to be doing that anytime soon. So what is the bigger picture here? There is a recommendation here that our emotions, our feelings, we need to go into the depth of those. We need to explore what's happening inside, because we are at on the verge of a great awakening. And this really fits with the astrology of the time. This really fits with Pluto backing into Capricorn, hanging out there for 6 more months, and then moving us on into the future, into Aquarius. So I will come back to this and talk about that. Understand, she says, that you can reconstruct, regardless of how shattered you might feel. So, many of us are dealing with grief on different levels, and reconstructing, reconnecting. I think personally, this is my feeling. This is why Pluto has come back into Capricorn for 6 more months. This is the last time in our lifetime that Pluto will be in Capricorn. It only happens every, 248 years, roughly. And so, yes, if there are some things we need to let go of, if there are some things that we need to reconstruct, if there are some things that are not working in our bodies, our lives, our worlds, and, obviously at a collective level, this is a huge issue. But on a micro level, for each of us, what is it that we are letting go of? And I do appreciate the symbol, at the middle of the card here. Let's get it dialed in. Let's try again. There we go. See the little treasure box with the crystal and the feathers. So in the letting go, there are treasures to be found. In the releasing, there are treasures to be found. The reconstruction is really powerful. So, some of us are literally dealing with loss around a loved one or a friend, or situation. And so, grief has its own journey. Grief has its own experience. And how do we reconstruct ourselves and our lives after moving through a loss of any kind, right? So I think there's a lot of deeper places to go with that. But let's go to the next cards as we weave together the tarot and the astrology. Oh, it's telling me to shuffle the cards. So hold on. Okay, let's do it again. First card in this deck. Oh, we get this card so often, but I think it's a good one. The Three of Wands, and really taking a gaze out. Where are we going? Using our wisdom, getting ready, using creativity. What is happening? If you wouldn't mind taking a moment for yourselves and putting yourself into the card. You don't necessarily have to be the person in the card, by the way. You can be anywhere you want to be in the card. And just from your perspective, what do you see? What are you noticing? You don't have to be the person. You can be something else in the card. Or you could be something that isn't even visible in the card. But the idea is to really look at, how is this card speaking to you? And because we do get this card quite often, like almost every week, and there are quite a number of cards in the deck, I do think that the message is becoming pretty obvious. Like, what is it that we are gazing toward, or what is gazing back at us? And again, normally I wait for the affirmations, but hey, we can shift it today. We can do whatever we want. So I'm going to give you the affirmation for today for this card, because I like it. I am expectant and optimistic, and I know that my dream is on the way. Now, I happen to know quite a few of you here. In fact, all of you. And I would say this is a very powerful affirmation and a reminder to you. Two things. Thank you, Natalie. Two things. An affirmation. I am expectant and optimistic, and I know that my dream is on the way. You have two ways of working with this. Well, you probably have more than two, but here are two. The first way is to write it down and then do what Julia Cameron calls blurts. Blurts are, you write it down, right? I am expectant and optimistic, and I know my dream is on the way. I write it in my journal, right? Really? You write your blurt on the other side. That's your mind going, really? Huh. Write it again. Huh. I don't see it. That's on a different page. Write it again. Whatever's coming out that isn't necessarily in alignment with the affirmation goes on another page, but you don't bypass it. You let it out, because otherwise it gets stuck in there. And so, I love, Heather, I just got your message from the first card, and yeah, thank you. I love it. Love, love, love. So hope I will read it in a minute. But so anyway, that's one way to work with the affirmation. And the other way to work with it is to put the phrase, how is it that? How is it that? I'll write it down. How is it that? And then you read, how is it that I am expectant and optimistic, and I know that my dream is on the way? Notice, no blurts. Want to know why? Because your brain is like, how is it that I'm expectant and optimistic, and I know that my dream is on the way? Well, okay, your brain just automatically goes along with it because of that phrasing. Okay, so how is it that I am expectant and optimistic, and I know that my dream is on the way? Okay, I think they're both really important ways to work with affirmations, just because it is important to take notice. If you've got some stuff that's over here that needs to be released, it is toxic to keep it in. So let it out and then do the other. If you want to go straight to the other, that's fine, and no problem. Do whatever is right for you. But if you do the blurts, make sure you do the other one after. How is it that? Okay. And the other cards will have affirmations as well. But I'll put that in the email after. Okay, so I'm going to hold up the card again, and then I'm going to read. I'm going to read Heather's comment in the chat. I will observe it all, reflect, and look at the entire landscape before jumping in with all the glorious graces and potential sharks too. That's a great affirmation. So I'm sure everyone can borrow that one, right? It's okay to borrow it if they want to. Okay, I love it. That's beautiful. Okay, next card. Okay, so we're letting go, we're reconstructing, we're being optimistic and expectant that our dream is on the way. That's good, actually. There's stuff that we need to let go of probably to get there. So why not? The next card, this is a very interesting card. And for those of you that know the tarot pretty well, this is fascinating. This is the Four of Pentacles, and there's a lot of history with this card. Let me see if I can, there we go. So a lot of history, traditionally with this card. But again, what I'd like you to do, what do you notice? What do you feel? And no judgment, no judgment. There's no judgment at all, not anywhere. Yeah, all you're going to do is put yourself in. Yeah, exactly. So good comments here, holding on to what is mine. Feels like we're in the Cancer time. So Cancerian energy, protection, right? So lots of thoughts and feelings. Yeah. I happen to be traveling soon to the Southwest. So, I'm looking at that kind of real personally as well. Like the images that feels very Southwest to me. So the feelings that are coming up, and Pentacles again are very physical, material, earthly. But again, there's so much in that card. So again, if we start to build, deep grounding, holding on to treasures from the past, there's a lot you can really glean from the artwork in these cards. They're just beautiful. So while there may be things that we're letting go of, there's new opportunities and dreams that we are expectant and optimistic for. There may be some things we're holding on to. And so discernment, are those things that we're holding on to part of what wants to be let go of, right? So again, I'll tie it into the astrology in a few moments, but it kind of makes sense for the time that we're in. And thanks, Natalie, for, the Cancerian energy. There is some Cancerian energy in there, and we are definitely at that time of the year. Okay, last card. Okay, you guys, this is quite a ride this morning. All right. This card is not, this one's going to take a little bit of doing, and I'll share what I think in a minute. But the Devil card. Okay. Aside from the artwork, which actually, I have to say, I get really uncomfortable with this card. There are other Devil cards in other decks that don't freak me out so much, but I'm appreciating what Natalie is saying already about the full moon, Capricorn full moon energy. The Devil in the tarot is associated with Capricorn. So the Devil card, take a moment with it. Natalie is seeing magic there. Come closer if you want. Good. I love that. All right. So again, I'm just needing to adjust it on my back. I did something to my back this morning, which is not making me happy, but okay. So the Devil card has so much connected to it. I think what I'm appreciating here is the energy that you're bringing forth from that, the magic, the coming closer, inviting. The energy is one of, at least in evolutionary tarot, which is to say not the traditional tarot, is one that is inviting us into something we can't, we're kind of hiding from ourselves. So for some of us, it is a very powerful energy that allows us to play more, allows us to connect more. It's deep energy that brings us closer to the integration of what's challenging and what is joyful. Okay. So what does it mean? It's like there's a suggestion that the Devil card is about living fully. What does it mean to live fully? If we look back at the conditioning that we have around words, I'm not particularly fond of the word devil, but I like what Angelus Arian says, that it is the word lived spelled backwards. So the word lived spelled backwards. So what does that mean? How can we live more? How am I not living? How can I, if I'm feeling constricted, and that's kind of in the card, by the way, if I'm feeling constricted, how can I release? Going back to the first card, how can I release any constrictions? And many of those are our own making. Some are not, sometimes we don't have we don't have the privilege maybe to even let go of some of the constrictions. So, but looking at where can I make change, right? Where can I change? Where is change happening? And where can and coming back to the Capricorn energy that Natalie rightfully sees in that card, Pluto's back in Capricorn, right? And so doubling back, circling back to this thing that I want to talk about today. Apparently, we're being guided to talk about today, which is Pluto and Capricorn. And there's plenty of other things happening. The first card, Natalie, was a Pluto card, Angel's Trumpet. And it's considered a death card, a letting go and releasing. So again, Pluto and Capricorn. So why did Pluto come back into Capricorn? Partly because it is time to look at the last pieces that we want to reconstruct in our lives. So again, this is important, and I've done this a couple times, but you know what, every time we're going to get a different answer. So I think it's worth doing again. And that is, I'd like you to travel back in time for just a moment. I'd like you to travel back in time to 2010. And Heather, I don't know if all of you can see what Heather has said, and I'll read that in a minute. I like it. But I'd like you to travel back to 2010 and consider where you were, what you were doing, what was happening, and just take a moment, 2010, 2011, moving in 2012, 2013, that whole era was a big change point for everyone collectively. So if you go back in time and you consider who you were then and who you are now, right? 13 years ago, which, that relates to a couple of things here in the reading as well. 13 years ago, what did you have to let go of in order to move on to the journey you're on now? 13 years ago in 2010, or 12 years ago in 2011, or 2012, those years, what was happening that needed to shift in your life? What was happening that opened you to the next chapters? And if, in astrology, when a planet goes into a sign, so Pluto went into Capricorn in 2010 and has stayed there roughly, till recently. It went into Aquarius, then it came back into Capricorn. So when Pluto moves into a sign, or when any planet moves into a sign, it can be a little rough the first couple of years, especially if it's a longer transit. Then we kind of even things out. And then at the end, we need to kind of look back. Did I learn everything? Is there anything else I need to do that I started during that time? Now, it's not lost on me personally that I have moved back to the area where I left at that time. It's not something had to come into some form of completion. But what is that? What is it that I'm coming back for? What is it that is wanting to either reconnect, or what is it that I'm completing? Okay. So there's a lot of questions about this. Now, it can be really good. It doesn't have to be dire or serious or somber. I just happen to be in my Saturn return this year. So yay for all of you. You get me in my serious time. But again, for me personally, whoa, here I am in my Saturn return, this Pluto transit coming back into Capricorn, looking back at my own life in 2010 and 2011, what was happening, what was changing, who am I now, and what still wants to be healed. And I think that's the bigger question. What still wants to be healed? So I'm gonna read what Heather wrote in the chat, because I feel like it fits. So she writes, the word devil implies becoming too immersed in the material, perhaps quote unquote drunk and imbalanced. But it also can be the fall of Lucifer in terms of leaving heaven to really experience earth, and how we can create apart from God. The coming back and remembering our connection to God amidst the living in a body is key. And I'm really appreciating that insight, Heather, because it's the remembering that we are here, we are in a body, and we are not disconnected from this divine energy, that however we each perceive that and see that. Capricorn is an earth sign. It's very much, part of the material realm. Pluto is, obviously the reconstruction. It can also be the remembering. It's the breaking apart and then bringing pieces back together. And so, the devil card, the angel's trumpet card, they both speak to that. And then Pluto and Capricorn, the entire transit has been asking us to reconstruct, let go, and then reconstruct or repattern, or bring healing into our lives in a new way. So what is left? And I mean, this is an amazing thing that we can do right now. We get the opportunity to really look at some things that might still need our attention before January 24th of next year, which is when Pluto will move into Aquarius. So what still needs my attention? And in your chart, so for those of you that know your astrology, and if you don't worry about it, but I just want to, for those that are, familiar with their astrology, go to the house where Pluto is. Some of you have some split houses, so it might not always look the same, right? But go to where is Pluto in Capricorn in your chart right now at 29 degrees. What house is that in? And those houses give us clues to theme, right? So I will just share from my experience here. You're not going to be surprised. Fourth house is where Pluto is in my chart, and that is the house of home and family, right? And I just was sharing with you that around 2010, things started to shift in my life. And then in 2011, I moved away from here, and then I just moved back just to get this last piece, apparently. But I've been gone almost the entire time, moving, changing, being in different places. I've been in more homes that are not mine in the last 12, 13 years than I have ever. And I moved a lot normally I move every 5 years. So for me to say, I've lost track of how many places I have stayed or lived in the last 13 years. So that's saying a lot. That's a lot of, for a Taurus, that's a lot of discomfort, shall we say, but a lot of opportunities for healing, a lot of opportunities to look at things in a new way, a lot of opportunities to let go of literal stuff, kind of coming back to this Four of Pentacles, right? That we were looking at. There's a lot of, Four of Pentacles has its own meaning, of course, but, again, looking back at what do I hold on to? What am I letting go of? And I will tell you that with so many iterations of moving and living in different places, you can imagine that my life got pretty scaled down in terms of stuff, right? So for a Taurus, that's a big deal, just to let y'all know. Taurus is we like our comforts and we like our things. And, I do still have all the tarot cards. Let's see. Oh, there, I've got all those, but that's not all of them. I have let go of a few, just to let you know. Okay. So what is it you're letting go of? And what have you let go of? It might be different for each person because your Pluto might be in a different place. On a deeper level, the fourth house, if anybody else has Pluto there, the fourth house has also been asking me to find my home inside myself, to really look at my own temple, right? To really look at this home. And then you can go at a deeper level, and kind of what Heather was saying in her comment there, this whole spiritual journey that we're on. What is that about? You know, the creation, the recreation, the co-creation. What am I doing here? And why am I doing this? And am I holding myself back, you know, to take a clue from this card a little bit? Am I holding myself back from the magic that I could be experiencing? Am I connecting more to the magic that I could be experiencing? You know, again, thank you so much for these beautiful comments. You know, the beginning of death and rebirth and karmic lessons. I agree with that for myself as well. You know, that's a beautiful comment here, and I'm really deeply appreciating that. So what do I need to do now? What do you need to do now? What is the universe asking of you? What are the pieces? And I will have to say, this takes some reflection. Like, I can't just automatically tell you. I have some general ideas, seems pretty obvious, but there's deeper messages there. There's deeper invitations. And, you know, again, taking our clues from the cards and the astrology, you know, as the sun moves into Cancer, which it did last week with the solstice, deepening into our emotional selves, deepening into our feelings, deepening into our home. Cancer rules the home. Looking at family. You know, earlier in the comments, the protection. Cancerian energy needs to protect. They're very sensitive. So does Capricorn, though. They just do it differently, and they are on the spectrum with each other, on one on each side. They're both highly sensitive and very tender signs, not cards, signs. They're very tender signs. And to have, wherever they are in your chart, you don't have to be a Cancer, you don't have to be a Capricorn, but wherever they are in your chart, there's tenderness and a need for protection. Okay. And protection is awesome. Being guarded is not as helpful, because the idea is that we want to stay open to the flow, which is a Cancerian energy, and the flow needs to find form, which is a Capricornian energy. And so we're really moving between the flow and the form. What is it that wants to flow through me? So, you know, most of you already know that the first thing I'm going to say to you is love wants to flow. Love wants to flow. And for those of you, and a lot of you have done this even with me, and we've been in groups together, there's all kinds of ways that we can have the flow move with us, through us, to bring healing, to bring change, to shift, to honor, all of those. And in the next level of this, the Capricorn and Cancerian energy, and Pluto, by the way, all remind us of our ancestors. So our ancestral energy, how are we honoring the ancestral energy in a way that is authentic and not bypassing? Many of us have a lot of challenges that have moved through our family systems, right? So really looking at what are those challenges, and how might I bring more healing to the family system that I find myself in? How might I find and bring more healing into my own relationship with some of the the challenges that show up in the family system. So these are, I mean, these are deep questions, and certainly I think aligned with the astrology of the time. It is a gift and a treasure to have an opportunity to look at what is present for us right now, and also what is present for us from our ancestors, and what we're bringing forward into the world right now. Our ancestors, I read somewhere, I'm probably going to get this wrong, sorry if I do, but I think, let me think how this goes. Over 4,000 people had to live over the last 400 years, I think, in order for us to be here. I think that's right. I could be wrong. Sorry if I'm wrong. But the idea is that it takes a lot of people for us to get here on a biological level. Now, this doesn't even include our spiritual lineages, which I think some of us have some pretty strong spiritual lineages. So that's another area where we want to bring healing and awareness and discovery and honoring, and potentially change, right? What are some shifts that need to be made? All right, so thank you for that beautiful comment. I'll preserve your anonymity, but I appreciate very much the insight of the Pluto transit and the values that are being asked, like, what are the values? What are your values? And actually, I really appreciate that, because I think that's a great way to look at any of the Pluto transits. Actually, what is it that I want to take with me here? What are the values I want to take with me? What do I need to leave behind? What do I need to heal? Okay. So it's a great way to look at about those transits. So again, here we are. This is our time. And, the first card, the first affirmation that we're working with, the optimism, the being real, with it, one of the things that I'm really appreciating is that there is so much magic for us, right? There's so much magic for us. And I'm going to actually bring up a chart here, so you don't always have to be looking at me. All right, let me bring this into focus here. All right, so this is the chart of the moment. This is where we are right now. Moon's in Libra. Obviously, the sun is in Cancer. It happens to be in this exact moment conjunct my North Node, my soul's path. So wherever it is in your life, and in your chart, the Cancerian energy is strong. It's like, no wonder I have so many feelings today. No wonder I feel like I'm on this really deep journey of emotion today. Like, of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? As we get closer to the new moon, we're going to be getting a lot closer to a reminder. So when the moon is new, the sun and the moon are in the same sign. And as that time comes around, they're going to be very close to an opposition of Pluto. And I believe that's in about 3 weeks from now. And there'll be other things that I can share about that later. But this idea that we are working very closely with Pluto, that we are working very deeply with our emotions, that we are working with themes around family and home and nourishment. That's another Cancerian energy that I should bring in. How are you nourishing? How am I nourishing myself? I could go off and tell you all kinds of stories, but let's stay focused. So in the chart right now, as we move into this week, Mercury is just about to head into Cancer as well. It's in Gemini right now, which is making me very talkative, I'm sure. And it will move into Cancer. It's going to bring up the need to share, discuss, talk about feelings, emotions. So how can you do that in ways that are supportive and magical and alive for you? The other thing that is happening, it's maybe a little challenging to see because it's small, but Venus and Mars are getting ever closer together. Woo. And Venus will be having her retrograde in the not too distant future. I believe it is July 22nd. So in about 3 weeks. And a Venus retrograde, so interesting. Venus retrogrades are fascinating. They bring up all kinds of stuff, usually about relationship from the past. And I don't know, coupled with everything we're talking about today, I think it just really feels like, oh, okay, we're going to be working with some energies. We're going to be working with some energies that are supporting us, that are bringing us opportunity to heal any past relationships or past relationships with ourselves or parts of ourselves that have gotten lost, right? That we want to claim and bring back. But also, on another side note, there is energy here for creativity. And I think this is one of my favorite ways to use any time that we're spending in Leo. And we haven't even gotten to the sun in Leo yet, which we will get to in July, is this creative energy. So for now, let's focus on the way astrology is set up. There's a pattern. So right now we're diving deep. We're dropping into our feelings. We're letting go what we need to let go of. And we are really deep into some powerful moments, because they're really moments. They're, I mean, in the scheme of life, these are moments where we have opportunity for healing. Natalie just brought up the Neptune, where Neptune is right now. And there is, for those of you that have even deeper knowledges of astrology, there is a square with Neptune to the galactic center. There are several different galactic centers, and that is a topic I could go into another time. But that is important. It's giving us opportunity to revise, revision, with Neptune. It can also be a time where we are not seeing things as clearly as the universe would like us to see. I know that for myself, like, how do I see to the next? How do I see through the mist or the fog? What is it I'm really seeking to see? My dreams are just, I mean, they are off the chart. And they, Neptune in Pisces, which will be there quite a while. This is what we're doing right now, is we're living into dreams, and we're really connecting with the other realms. It also helps if you're working in the other realms in different ways, and I'm really appreciating that. The other thing that's happened is the North Node has come all the way back just to the beginning of Taurus. The North Node moves backwards in a chart, and it's really getting closer to Aries. So as the North Node spends the last few moments in Taurus, again, looking at our physical world, our bodies' wisdom, how our soul and our bodies are connected. So important, especially with Jupiter in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus. So, we're experiencing a lot of things. I mean, this because you all have had sessions, so that there's like a million things we could talk about. But I think the bottom line, at least for this week, is just a reminder using the cards and the astrology, that we have some things that we're working with right now for the last time in our lifetime. What is it? So I'm going to share with you something that's coming up for me. And so there might be a way you could weave things together for yourselves. The Pluto and the Capricorn, where it is in my chart, but also just bringing in the Cancerian energy right now. what feelings do I need to reconcile about my own family system? And what wounds might I still be carrying? I love that. In the darkness, I'm free to heal everything. I love it. Thank you. That feels like a really powerful quote. Like feel like I've heard this before. But what is it that I need to really let go of around family system, family patterning, wounds, family wounds? And where do I want to put my roots down into the earth for the future? What will support me the best? I don't really, oh, thanks. Thanks, Natalie. Excellent. So having an opportunity to heal, right? Having an opportunity to shift, having an opportunity to release, let go, repattern, remember, right? The magic is here. The optimism of this is profound, right? Because we are here because we truly want to bring more light and love into the world. Bottom line. And what does that look like? Well, it might look different than what I think it looks like. It's going to look different for each person. But I know for me, if I have bitterness, if I have resentment, if I have regret, if I have remorse, that will slow down my ability to channel love and light into the world. Is it normal to have all of that? Sure. Guilt is another one. Shame is another one. They're all there, right? They're all there. Do I need to carry those around? No, I don't think it's really great to carry them around. If I want to, sure. But this is an opportunity to heal those and to connect with something different, something that is more alive in me, and something that really fits with the future that I would like to see happen in this world, or at least in my world, right? So many of you here today have beautiful, big dreams, and those are absolutely possible. And if there's anything that is holding you back in any way, shape, or form, start internally. What is it that I need to let go of? And for some, it isn't about necessarily the internal. For some, it is an external constriction. And I really want to honor that. Like sometimes it really is an external constriction, and utilizing the tools that we have, brainstorming, how is it possible that I can shift this? Or in what way do I need this to shift in order to connect more deeply with myself, with my dreams, with my visions, with life? And so having that opportunity is super powerful. And it's exciting to look at what's available here. What is available in the moment with Pluto, with the sun in Cancer, with the new moon coming in Cancer, with Neptune in Pisces. Saturn's also in Pisces. You know, it's like, what is possible with the energy here? How can I bring more flow, find my way to not constrict, but bring more flow by releasing anything I need to here? And again, for those of you that are dealing with outward constrictions, external constrictions, what might be possible? Stay in that what might be possible place, because to shut down is that constriction. And I certainly understand it, absolutely 100%. And this is the time, while Pluto is still here, just for these few more months, to let the healing happen wherever it needs to happen in your life, whatever form it needs to take, however we can honor our deepest healing at a soul level, right? So regardless of external circumstance, our soul has its own journey. And believe me, when I tell you all of this, I'm living it, right? Like, what does my soul want from me right now? Well, looking at our north node, where our north node is placed in our chart, will give us some clues. Mine just happens to be in Cancer. And so what my north node wants from me is to feel more, to have more emotion, to connect more deeply with the tenderness and the vulnerability. Oof, that word vulnerability. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. Okay. So depending on where your north node is, and you can look that up, or you can just, send me an email and I'll send you back where your north node is, but just really looking at, how my soul, how each of our souls wants to evolve. And that's a hugely Pluto thing. So once Pluto moves into Aquarius, then we'll have a different conversation. But for now, this is the one that we want to have. What are some of the deeper things that want to be healed? What are the structures that need to be restructured? What needs to be let go of? And then what wants to be recreated? And I'll read this insight here. The importance of feeling the self, but also forgetting the self for the sake of the collective. That's really beautifully insightful. Thank you for that. It's, again, this journey that we're on. The collective energy is there and the personal is there. So how do we balance that? How do we find our way, knowing that we have our healing to do, right? We all do. And then how is it that our world can benefit from each of us taking a moment or two or three and healing what's within ourselves, right? So some basic reminders for Cancerian time. Nourishment. What are you eating? Are you staying hydrated? What is your environment? Are you getting enough rest? If not, how can you do more of that? Okay. Again, when you're in situations that don't feel quite right for you, how can you work with that to get them feeling better, a little bit better than they are right now, right? Just a little bit better each day. So unfortunately, I think we lost someone that I wanted to share a little bit about, but we'll do that next time. Finding our joy, right? Where is joy in our being? And I think, sometimes these heavier planetary shifts, we might lose track of it, but let's not. Where do we find our optimism? Where do we find our joy? Where do we find the love? And if it's underneath some weeds, let's pull the weeds out. Okay. If it's under the earth, maybe it just needs a little more watering so it can come up and sprout a little bit. Or if it's full out and you're celebrating and you're joyful, share it. Never hold back your love and joy, please. Because, I think sometimes, and I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I think I was taught, like, don't be like super happy if everyone else is like struggling. That's rude. Well, no, it's just the opposite, actually. I mean, you can be compassionate, but no, we need your light. We need your celebration. We need your love. So in the midst of all of these kind of more serious kind of, Pluto come into the end of Capricorn kind of energies, what are some things you're celebrating? And what are you grateful for right now? So, you can put those in the chat too. Like, what is it you're celebrating right now? Like, I'm just celebrating being near friends. I'm celebrating you all. I'm celebrating my work. And how can I want to bring that love and optimism and joy into our world in a way that also connects us deeply with the compassion. That's another element of the Cancerian energy as well right now. Okay, so that is all I have to say for today. You've listened beautifully for an hour. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to end the recording in just a moment. But again, just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's here. It really means so much to have your energy here. And I'm really appreciating the support in creating the container. All right, so I am going to now, possibly, perhaps, or not. I'm sure I can do this. Okay. Oh my God.